So this video is going to be my KvK highlights from this weekend, but first I want to show you guys something that happened yesterday. So in the corner of the screen we have the Kingdom racist. You know, every Kingdom chat has trolls, but this guy, the stuff that he spouts is just vile. He just uses racial slurs all day and says the most disgusting things. This guy's account is set up like a baby solo trap, so it's designed to catch smaller players with not so very strong gear, but if it took a hit from someone like me, it would get wrecked. Today, this player is going to get what they deserve. Ducky is tricking this guy into unshielding so he can take a solo hit from him, but I will port into the corner of the screen and then send a solo at him as soon as Ducky won troops. Ever since the Kingdoms opened, this guy has not unshielded his solo trap. He won't take any hits from players like me, and he just sits under his shield and talks shit all day. Now I'm going Cav because most solo traps normally defend in int phalanx, and I want to hurt this guy as much as possible. The main issue here is because he has no fury. If he does see another solo march coming in, he might shield, so that's why I was going to wait till Ducky soloed to bamboozle him. And oh, ouch, that's like half of his troops, well almost half of his troops dead in a single hit. Of course he's going to shield, and I'm going to put his cords in global and just shame him like the pussy he is. I just wish I could show you guys some of the things he said in the past, but if I put them in this video, it would definitely get demonetized. In fact, some of the stuff that I've said here would probably get the video demonetized, but I don't really care at this point. This guy is a trash human being, and we're sick of listening to his hate speech, so we set up this trap to really mess him up. Right now in the chat he's claiming he doesn't care that he's been burned, but over the next hour he proceeds to throw the biggest salt tantrum I've ever seen on this game. It is honestly ridiculous. This guy acts like a child, and I think he's free to play as well, so he's not going to be able to rebuild that easily. I'd be pretty salty if I took that kind of hit as well, I'm not going to lie. The chat is going crazy right now because no one in the Kingdom likes this guy, and we're all happy to see him burned. So let's look at his comp now. The comp is trash. I mean, 1 mil of each T1. He did have a T2 frontline that was taken out pretty quickly. If he hadn't shielded, a range hit next would have pretty much zeroed him. He also only had 300k infirms as well, so like a huge majority of those troops are red. My only regret here is that I didn't send full T4, because if I had, I would have killed over 2.2 mil. But he got what he deserved. I'm happy with that hit. And now let's go through some of the clips from KvK. Now, my KvK was pretty boring. We were against a dead Kingdom that didn't really try to fight back at all, so the only thing we could do for entertainment is hit players in our own Kingdom and rally each other's forts. Now sadly I lost a couple of clips of my fort battles, so that sucks, but right now I'm rallying Smiley Lion's fort. Now I believe that Smiley Lion was the overlord of K663 before it opened. So yeah, I wanted to see how the old overlord of K663 would fare up against myself. He is sitting in his fake gear right now, but later he will change to his mix set, which I'll post a photo of in a couple seconds. But yeah, I was kind of expecting him to pull this hit, or at least fill the fort. He doesn't do either of those things. He kind of just sits there and takes the hit on the fort. And because my rally is full and his fort only continues to have 2.3 million in there, that's really not a good idea. Now I set on this fort knowing full well that I would win no matter what he did, unless he changed to all inf or a really heavy inf range comp, but he probably wouldn't have been able to do that because he'd have no idea what I was sending. And you know, he's going to lose because blasts are a lot stronger than mixed marches in a fort. Even if everything's equal, a blast is way more likely to be able to win against a mixed march. It definitely doesn't help matters that my rally is full and his fort is not, but he does actually end up taking this hit, surprisingly enough. I changed to Cav gear because I don't want him to take it in infantry phalanx. As always, when sending a range march, I'm going to march in inf wedge, because if I do run into a counter, then my range will only have to make it through half of his inf before attacking his Cav. And the same if he's in range phalanx, then I only have to go through half his range before attacking his Cav. And I do end up winning. You know, I wasn't expecting to lose. and he only takes out 360k of mine, and I take out almost 1 million of his troops. Even if it was full, I don't think that would have made a difference. Well, it would have made a difference, but I still would have won, even though he did counter me. Now, I've just set a rally on this 300 million mic player who just went into Fury. It's Kabul from... I don't even know how to pronounce that tag. There's no letters in it. So yeah, Kabul from this guild has just gone into Fury, and he does have almost full mythic war gear. So a 300 mil might player online in full mythic war gear normally isn't the ideal Fury target, but I actually got a scout a few days ago and he only has around 5 million troops. So firstly, he can't take a rally, secondly, he can't hide those troops, so that makes him the perfect rally target. I did mail NBK to try and double rally him, but Dutch was actually eating lunch at that time, so he couldn't reply. Now, I set range first because I knew from his scout that he didn't have any T2 range, so he'd be an inf range trap. That was a mistake because he has decent stats, and with T4 inf range, he's going to be able to bounce my range rally off him quite nicely with no losses. Again, I sent an inf wedge because when I make it through half of the T4 inf, I start attacking his cav, but I didn't even make it through half of the T4 inf. I barely wounded. 500k on the first hit, so you can see the carpets are going very quickly there, and he smokes. He was already in the forest, so if he burned, he would have been random ported somewhere in the kingdom, and we probably would have been able to find him. But this guy doesn't port, he sits there, and I was expecting him to port away. That's what any rational person would have done. And then when I realised that he's not going to port, I start speeding my troops home really quickly to start another rally. Now you saw Kabul's troop comp there. He has hardly any T4 and only 4 million T2 in total. So while this guy has the stats to be a really effective rally trap, he does not have the troops. He was only able to defend that rally from me. He wasn't able to come anywhere close to capping me. To do that, he'd have to build another 500k of each T4 and about another 1 million T2 cav and range. So yeah, I speed my troops back, and initially I set inf because I'm thinking that now that I know he's going to defend an inf phalanx, he's going to change to range. But then I changed my mind and reset cav because the chances of him choosing to defend in inf phalanx are much higher than range. And now normally if you're going to hit an inf range trap, sending cav would be a really bad idea because cav rally is more easy for them to cap. But a range rally, another range rally, is not going to do anything at all because this guy will just heal up and they'll feather reinforcements up again. I knew that he didn't have sufficient T2 numbers to eat a cav rally anyway, and if he did change to range phalanx, because my rally would be hitting a T2 front line instead of a T4 front line, even if I got countered, I might still be able to burn him because the T2 loss would be greater than T4. Some people say that range traps shouldn't ever change formation, but that's wrong because if you are a range trap and like a cav rally, if you're an inf range trap and there's a cav blackwing rally coming towards you, do you want to take that? Do you really want to take that on your T4 inf front line, or do you want to take that in range phalanx where only your T2 are going to die and not yours and your guild's T4? And that's just my opinion, really. I gave this guy every chance to round him out as soon as my first rally had hit, but he decided to stick around for whatever reason. So he's going to get absolutely smacked by this next rally. I changed to my cav gear when it launches. The carpets are just spammed, and this guy gets burned out of the forest because he took that second rally in inf phalanx just like I thought he would, and he's got over 1 million reds there. Now, really unfortunately, I didn't record the next rally I did on this guy because, surprisingly enough, a few hours later, I saw him furying again, and I hit him with inf rally thinking that, well, this time he knows he has to change his formation. So I hit him with inf thinking he would change to range, but no, he took it in inf phalanx again. I burned him, but I only wounded about 800k troops, so it wasn't as good as that last hit there. But he's still burned, and he hasn't gone back into fury since then. Now I'm going to show you guys the final hit of this KvK. So my fort is being rallied by this Indra guy from the other kingdom, and he is going to send cav at my fort. How do I know this? Because his filler marches are going really fast. That's why it's always important to put the one inf troop whenever you rally a fort, because then it's really easy for your opponent to know what you're sending and change to counter. And I asked my guildmates to swap to a really heavy range cav composition, because even though a blast against a fort will always be in the favour of the blast, if you do want to have any hope of defending your fort against a player with gear pretty equal to you, or maybe even better than you have to swap to a composition that counters them entirely. Like, for example, if they send range, you've got to be able to swap to like a 992 if they send cav. You've got to swap to a 299 if they send inf. You've got to swap to a 929, because phalanx counters aren't normally very important for a blast. A blast will just normally win whatever you counter with, and this guy would have won if I'd taken it in mixed. So I needed to massively increase my numbers of range and cav in the fort. Now, my mixed gear doesn't have the best jewels in it. I mainly prioritise the jewels for spears, because that's what I use the most. This guy's cav gear, I don't show it in the video, but it looks to be around 600, so not a bad cav set. If you saw their march just there, then you'll know that one guy accidentally put in a range march instead of cav, and unfortunately for that guy, because of the formation this guy set his troops in, that whole range march died. Like, that guy had 80k red T4, but yeah, that wasn't a bad defense from me. They only managed to take out around 400k, and I took out 800k of their troops, and they didn't make it through half of my range, so they couldn't have started cutting into my inf. Not that it would have mattered anyway, because this guy sent in the wrong formation. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you did. I'll see you in the next one.
Set my heart